Most people fail at budgeting, myself included. And the reason for this is a multitude of reasons. It's too strict, it's too complicated, it feels like punishment, or they simply just don't track their spending. And if you're not tracking your spending, it's a lot like doing a crochet project. If you're not following a pattern, you're not going to be able to make anything because you don't have directions on where you're going. A budget is not punishment. It is merely giving yourself directions on where your money is going. It's giving yourself a pattern to follow of how you spend your money. And once you start looking like that, it's a lot easier to accept having a budget. So with a budget, you're telling your money where to go rather than wondering where your money went at the end of the week or the end of the month. And you're looking at your account and wondering, how on earth did you spend that much money? You don't remember spending that much money. So first, let's look at why do budgets fail? Most people have tried to have a budget before. And the reason that it probably failed is they were too strict off the get-go. They tried to make it way too strict. You're not going to spend anything on fun. Grr, bah humbug. Or they didn't track their spending, so they spent everything on fun. Yay! And they didn't know how much money they were spending here and there. Or they forgot about irregular expenses. Now, everybody experiences irregular expenses. You have expenses that you weren't planning on. Say, for example, somebody's getting married and you get an invitation to the wedding. Well, you weren't planning on that, and now you have to bring a gift. Or, say, for example, you have a car and the car decides that it wants to break down on you. You weren't expecting that, but now you have to have that fixed. And those unexpected expenses can really blow up your budget and kind of affect the way you think about your budget to the point where you're like, forget it. What's the point anyways? So let's get into how you can prevent that from happening. Because your budget has to be your real life. It can't be some perfect version on our spreadsheet because that version in real life does not exist. The first step in creating a budget is knowing exactly how much money you have coming in. If you don't know your income, that's going to be pretty difficult. Your income is going to be how much money you actually bring home, not what you're getting paid. And by that I mean your income is going to be minus your taxes, minus insurance payments, all the other things that get taken out of your paycheck, minus all of those. And then that's going to actually be how much money you're bringing in that you have available to you to spend, also known as your take-home pay after taxes. And if you have freelance income, say you do gigs on the side or you make crochet projects, whatever you have that is earning you extra money, add that in too. Let's say that you bring home from your day job $3,500 a month, and from your side gig you earn $200 a month. Your collective take-home pay would then be $3,700 a month. So your budget starts with $3,700 a month, not what your pay is, what you actually take home and put in the bank account. The next thing you need to do is track your expenses. And this is going to require you to put on your investigative cap and download a couple things. Go through your bank statements, go through your credit card statements, and figure out what you're spending money on. This works really well if you take all of this, you download it into a CSV file, which is going to be a spreadsheet file that you can transfer to a Google Sheets or to an Excel sheet, whatever works for you. You're going to put that in, and then you're going to see, where do you spend your money at? How much do you spend on groceries? How much do you spend on gas? And it's a lot easier to do when you can sort it that way. So you're going to want to pull your statements from your bank and from your credit cards going back about 2 or 3 months. That's going to give you a good view of things. You're going to have fixed expenses. These are going to be things like your rent or your mortgage payment, your insurance payment, your car loan payment. Those are going to be fixed amounts every month. The next thing you're going to have are variable expenses, and that's going to be things like your gas, your groceries, your entertainment, because those are going to vary from month to month. Then you have the category of your debt payments, and your debt payments are going to be how much are you paying on your credit cards, how much are you paying on your student loans, what are the minimum payments that you have to make. And don't forget that you should be saving money and also investing money so that you can take care of your future self. This might be uncomfortable at first, seeing all these numbers and looking at all these numbers and doing math, but it's really going to help you out in the long run because you're going to get a really good idea of how you spend money and what you spend money on. It might not be much fun at this stage, but it is going to be very eye-opening for you. And the reason is because once you start seeing where your money is going, then you can start managing where your money goes. Now that we know what our income is and we know what our expenses are, we can start building out a budget. The first budget that you might come across is called the 50-30-20 rule. And that means that 50% of your take-home income is going to go to your needs, like your rent payment, mortgage payment, insurance payment, stuff like that. Those are your needs. 30% is going to go to your wants. You want to take a yoga class. You want to pick up a new hobby. Those are going to be your wants. And then you're going to have 20% that goes to savings, investment, or paying off debt. Another method is called zero-based budgeting, and this means that every dollar that you have has a job. It is assigned a particular job. I like this budget because it's easier to manage my money, because I feel like I have total control over it because I know where every dollar is going. And a friend of mine prefers the envelope method, and this is kind of similar to the zero-based budget. What it means is that every dollar is allocated to a individual envelope. You have an envelope for the groceries, you have an envelope for the gas, an envelope for the entertainment, and so on. Once the money is done being spent in that envelope, you're done. Whatever budget you choose, you have to choose a budget that works for the way that you work. The 50-30-20 budget would not work for me. That's not how my brain works. The envelope system would not work for me because I would have the money there and I would just spend it. But zero-based budget works for the way that my brain works. Whatever budget system that you use, you have to select one that seems organic to you, that feels normal to you. The secret sauce in making a budget is being flexible with your budget. If you're really, really super strict and you never change your budget from the time that you made it, it's going to be very, very difficult to stay on your budget. Because you've been too restrictive, which is one of the leading failures of budgets. Your budget shouldn't be so restrictive that one surprise throws everything into chaos. That's a budget that's not going to work for you because it's too restrictive and there's too much that can go on. Your budget has to be flexible for you. I suggest that you have an extra column in your spreadsheet or your budget that is your miscellaneous, your chaos column, your unexpected column of money. And with every budget, you need to be reviewing it. You need to review your spending on a weekly basis to make sure that you're staying on track with your spending, because it's all too easy to not be on track with your spending. And then review your budget monthly and make adjustments to your budget. Maybe your utilities are more expensive like they are for most of us. Maybe your rent went up. Then you need to review your budget on a monthly basis, because things do change on a monthly basis. You might have more money that needs to go out to a utility while you might have saved money on gas because now you're taking public transportation or you're walking to work. And when you're reviewing your spending habits, you need to see, did I overspend somewhere? Budgets aren't set in stone. They are organic plans that change with you. And if you try to have a very restrictive budget, it is going to fail because you're not going to be able to enjoy life. And if you're not enjoying life, then you're not going to do the budget. If you have a budget that's too restrictive, it is going to fail simply because of the way we are as humans. So the more you adjust and fine-tune your budget, the better off you're going to be in the long run, because you're going to have a budget that actually works the way that your brain works. So here's what I want you to remember, that a budget isn't about being restrictive. It is about managing how you spend your money. It's about freedom, financial freedom. Freedom from worrying about your money, worrying about how it's being spent. If you come up with a budget, you know how your money is being spent. You know where your money is going. It makes life a lot easier when you work with a budget. It's about making sure that the money that you have is supporting the life that you want. So that might be paying off debt, that might be saving up for retirement, or saving for a vacation fund, or buying a new car, or simply just having the peace of mind that you've got it all together. So when your spending lines up with your goals, then life becomes so much easier because you feel less stressed and more in control of what your money is doing. So here's your challenge. Today, get out a piece of paper and write down what your income is. Write down what your expenses are. Even if you're not including every single expense, write down as many expenses that you can think of or that you're looking at on your bank statement or your credit cards. Write down your expenses so you get a better idea of where your money is going. And over time, you can refine that system as you move along. You do not have to do this process overnight. No one needs to know about your system. No one needs to grade you or judge you on it. You just have to do it. I've included a link to a planner in the description below to help you get started. It's designed so you can quickly get started on getting control of your money.